Billionaire's wife cried nonstop, until his poor driver did the unthinkable. No one ever notices the crying. Not the caterers clearing crystal glasses after charity galas. Not the donors applauding a perfect marriage for the cameras. Not even the billionaire whose name crowns the building. But the driver notices. From the front seat of a black luxury sedan, Caleb Rowe watches tears fall without sound. Not dramatic tears. Not the kind meant to be seen. The dangerous kind. The kind a woman cries when she learns that no one is coming to save her. She wipes her face before every red carpet. Smiles before every camera flash. Folds her hands like she's afraid to take up space. 7 years behind the wheel teaches Caleb something powerful men forget. The rearview mirror never lies. And one night, a single decision inside that car destroys a billionaire's empire. Exposes a marriage built on silence. And forces a poor driver to choose between disappearing quietly or telling a truth that will ruin him. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Who is Alara Halstead really? Why does a woman married to one of the most powerful men in America cry in silence? And how does a driver, paid to see nothing, end up holding evidence no driver should ever possess? Most importantly, what happens during one quiet night in a mansion so large it echoes with loneliness? Stay with me because the truth behind this story doesn't begin with betrayal. It begins with being unseen. It begins with a woman who married into wealth but found poverty of soul. It begins with a man who drove cars but couldn't drive away from what he witnessed. And it begins with a choice that should never have been his to make. But choices have a way of finding the powerless when the powerful refuse to see what's right in front of them. Caleb Rowe understands invisibility. That's what drivers are hired for. He arrives before dawn. Leaves long after midnight. Speaks only when spoken to. 7 years of airport runs. 7 years of late-night detours to penthouses never listed on schedules. 7 years of opening doors for people who never learn his name. His mother raised him in a small Baptist church in South Carolina. She taught him 2 things that stick with him every single day. See people. And do right even when it costs you. Victor Halstead likes things efficient. Quiet. Controlled. He built his fortune in real estate development across the Northeast. Towers with his name. Hotels that redefine luxury. A reputation that opens doors most men spend lifetimes knocking on. He speaks in commands, not requests. Time is currency. Emotion is waste. His wife, Alara, moves differently. She sits in the back seat with her spine straight, hands folded, eyes fixed on passing lights like she's counting exits she will never take. She wears designer clothes that hang on her frame like borrowed costumes. Her makeup is flawless. Her smile is practiced. But her eyes tell a different story. They're the eyes of someone who's learned to shrink, to apologize for breathing, to exist quietly in spaces that should belong to her. Every Sunday morning is the same. Victor rushes. Alara waits. She arrives early at Riverside Community Church in Manhattan. Stays late after everyone leaves. Prays with empty hands pressed together like she's holding something fragile. Caleb notices. He always drives her alone. Victor stopped attending church 3 years into the marriage. Business calls on Sundays. Always business. Caleb watches her through the rearview mirror more than he should. Not with desire. With concern. The kind of concern his mother would feel. The kind that asks, is this woman okay? Does anyone check on her? Does anyone see what I see? He notices when she stops wearing her wedding ring on Tuesdays. He notices when she flinches at the sound of Victor's voice through the car speaker. He notices when she thanks him, always quietly, like gratitude is something she has to ration. One Tuesday morning, after dropping Victor at his office, Caleb drives Alara to a small cafe in Brooklyn. She doesn't order food. Just sits by the window watching people pass. Free people. People who laugh without permission. She stays for 2 hours. When she returns to the car, her eyes are red. Caleb doesn't ask. But he understands. Some cages are made of gold. Some prisons have marble floors. Victor's mother, Patricia Halstead, visits every Thursday. She inspects the house like a general reviewing troops. Nothing is ever good enough. The flowers are wrong. The dinner is bland. Alara's dress is too casual. Patricia speaks about her son's first wife often. Angela was elegant. Angela understood class. Angela knew how to host properly. Alara listens in silence. Nods. Apologizes. Promises to do better. Caleb overhears these conversations while waiting in the foyer. His jaw tightens. His mother's voice echoes in his head. When you see cruelty, don't turn away. Don't let silence become your sin. But what can a driver do? What can a man with no power say to a woman trapped by wealth? Ilara's family lives in Philadelphia. She came from a middle-class home. Her father was a teacher. Her mother worked at a hospital. They attended a small church where everyone knew everyone, where love was loud and messy and real. She met Victor at a fundraiser. He swept her off her feet with promises. A better life, a bigger world, love that would never end. She believed him. She left her family's warmth for his family's ice. Now she calls home once a month. The conversations are short, strained. Her mother asks when she'll visit. Ilara makes excuses. Victor doesn't like her family. He says they don't understand his world. He says they make her soft. He says she needs to choose. So she chooses silence. She chooses distance. She chooses to become smaller and smaller until she almost disappears. Caleb sees all of this. He sees it in the way she stares at family photos on her phone. He sees it in the way she hesitates before entering her own home. He sees it in the way she thanks him for opening her door, like kindness is a rare commodity she can't take for granted. And he carries this knowledge like a weight, because seeing is one thing, acting is another, and the distance between the two feels impossible to cross. The night everything breaks comes after a Manhattan charity gala. The event raises $4 million for youth education programs. Victor gives a speech about opportunity and responsibility. The room erupts in applause. Photographers capture the moment. Ilara stands beside him in a navy gown, smiling for the cameras. But her hands tremble. Her eyes search for exits. When Victor finishes, he's immediately surrounded by investors and politicians. Men in expensive suits with expensive requests. He disappears into their circle without looking back. Ilara stands alone. Donors approach her with polite compliments. She nods, smiles, thanks them. But her energy drains with every interaction. By 9 o'clock, she finds Caleb outside near the car. She asks him to drive her home. Victor will find his own way. He always does. The drive is silent. Ilara stares out the window. City lights blur past like memories she can't hold on to. When they arrive at the mansion, she doesn't exit immediately. She sits in the back seat, unmoving. Caleb glances at the rearview mirror. Her shoulders shake. Silent tears stream down her face. He doesn't speak. Sometimes silence is all you can offer. Finally, she whispers thank you. Not for the ride. For not asking questions. For not demanding explanations she doesn't have the strength to give. She enters the house alone. The mansion swallows her whole. Caleb sits in the car for 10 minutes before driving away. But something feels wrong. Heavy. Like a storm approaching that no one else can see. He prays that night. A simple prayer. God, if she needs help, send someone. Anyone. Let her not be alone. The next morning, Victor calls. His tone is sharp. Ilara needs to be driven to a doctor's appointment. Caleb arrives at the mansion. She comes out wearing sunglasses despite the cloudy weather. Her movements are careful, controlled, like she's trying not to break. The appointment is at a private clinic. Caleb waits in the car. When she returns, she says nothing. But her hands shake as she fastens her seatbelt. Days pass. Victor travels to Boston for business. Ilara stays home. The house staff avoids her. They sense something fragile. Something ready to shatter. On the third night of Victor's absence, Caleb receives a call at 11 p.m. It's Ilara. Her voice is barely audible. She asks if he can come to the house. Not to drive. Just to be there. She says she doesn't feel safe. She doesn't explain why. She doesn't need to. Caleb knows this crosses every line. Drivers don't make house calls. Drivers don't respond to personal requests. Drivers maintain boundaries that protect both parties. But his mother's voice is louder than protocol. When someone says they don't feel safe, you don't ignore them. You don't debate. You respond. So he drives to the mansion. He tells himself he'll stay for 10 minutes. Just long enough to make sure she's okay. She opens the door before he knocks. Her face is pale. Her eyes are red from crying. She's wearing a simple sweatshirt and jeans. No makeup. No performance. Just exhaustion. She invites him in. He hesitates. She pleads. Please. Just for tonight. I don't want to be alone. Every alarm in Caleb's mind sounds at once. But compassion has a dangerous way of sounding reasonable. So he enters. The mansion feels different at night. Empty. Cold. The kind of cold that comes from absence, not temperature. She leads him to the kitchen. Pours 2 glasses of wine. Her hands shake so badly that she spills some on the counter. Caleb offers to help. She waves him off. Apologizes. always apologizing. They sit at opposite ends of the kitchen island. Distance between them. Safety and space. She talks. About never being complimented. About in-laws who call her replaceable. About pushing her own family away for a love that never stayed in one place. About feeling like a decoration in someone else's life. About waking up and not recognizing herself anymore. About praying for strength to leave but never finding it. About wondering if God still hears her prayers or if he's tired of her complaints. Caleb listens. He doesn't offer solutions. Doesn't minimize her pain. Just listens the way his mother taught him. The way church folks listen when someone's hurting. The way human beings should listen when another human being is breaking. And somewhere in that listening, something shifts. Not romance. Not attraction. Connection. The kind that happens when two invisible people finally see each other. Hours pass. The wine bottle empties. Ilara's words slow. Her eyelids grow heavy. She stands to refill her glass and stumbles. Not drunk. Exhausted. Emotionally depleted. Caleb catches her elbow. Steady. He suggests she should rest. She nods. Agrees. But when she tries to walk, her legs won't cooperate. Too many sleepless nights. Too much held inside for too long. Caleb helps her upstairs. One step at a time. Her weight against his shoulder. Nothing inappropriate. Just assistance. They reach her bedroom. She collapses onto the bed, still fully clothed. She clutches his jacket like it's the only solid thing left in her life. Please, she whispers. Don't leave. Not yet. Caleb freezes. Every boundary he's ever maintained stands between him and this moment. But she's crying again. That silent, dangerous crying. The kind that breaks something inside you when you witness it. So he stays. Just for a minute. He sits in the chair by the window. Far from the bed. Safe distance. That minute stretches. Her breathing evens. She falls asleep still holding his jacket. Caleb watches her for a moment. She looks different in sleep. Younger. Peaceful. Like the weight she carries has temporarily lifted. He carefully removes his jacket from her grip. Covers her with a blanket. And then he makes a choice. He'll sleep in the chair. Just to make sure she's okay. Just to keep his word. Just for tonight. He closes his eyes. Exhaustion takes him faster than he expects. When he wakes, sunlight streams through the window. His neck is stiff from the awkward position. He looks toward the bed. Ilara is awake, staring at him. Not with gratitude, with horror. Morning arrives like a verdict. Ilara sits up in bed, still fully dressed from the night before. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that Caleb is here. In her bedroom. In her husband's house. In a situation that looks exactly like what it isn't. Her mind races through possibilities. What if staff saw him enter? What if security footage captured this? What if Victor finds out? She screams. Not loud, but sharp. Desperate. Get out. The words cut through the morning air. Please just go. Caleb stands immediately. Tries to explain. Nothing happened. Nothing. I stayed in the chair. You asked me not to leave. But truth sounds weak when fear is loud. And fear is screaming inside Ilara's chest right now. He grabs his jacket. His cap. Heads toward the door. She follows, making sure he leaves. Making sure this nightmare ends. But as he reaches the foyer, he turns back. Tries one more time to reassure her. I would never disrespect you. I was just making sure you were safe. She doesn't respond. Can't respond. Just closes the door behind him. Locks it. And slides down against it, sobbing into her hands. Caleb drives home in silence. His mind replays every decision from the previous night. Should he have refused to come? Should he have left when she fell asleep? Should he have anticipated how this would look? He prays in the car. God, I was just trying to help. Please let her be okay. Please don't let this hurt her. But prayers feel insufficient when consequences are already in motion. By noon, Victor knows. Not from Ilara. She's too terrified to tell him. Too aware of how it will sound. Too trapped by the narrative forming around her. But Marcus Linden tells him. Victor's oldest friend. His most trusted advisor. The man who introduced him to real estate titans and political power brokers. The man who never liked Ilara. Who called her common. Who said she would embarrass the family eventually. Marcus has security footage. From the mansion's exterior cameras. Time-stamped. Caleb entering at 11:15 p.m. Not leaving until 6:30 a.m. He shows Victor the images in his office. Keeps his voice neutral. Concerned. Just thought you should know. Might be nothing. But you know how people talk. Victor stares at the screen. His jaw tightens. His hands form fists. That's all Marcus needs to see. Caleb receives the call at 2 p.m. Not from Victor. From the company's HR director. Your services are no longer required. Effective immediately. No severance. No explanation. Just termination. Caleb asks why. The director doesn't answer. Just repeats the statement. Your services are no longer required. The line goes dead. He sits in his small apartment in Queens. The place he's rented for 7 years on a driver's salary. The place that's never felt like much but has always been honest work. He knows what happened. Knows someone saw. Knows how it looks. But knowing doesn't soften the blow. He's lost his job. His reputation. His only source of income. And there's nothing he can do about it. Because who believes the driver over the billionaire? Who takes the word of a poor man from South Carolina over a real estate mogul with political connections? Who cares about truth when image is everything? Caleb learned these lessons growing up. His father taught him. Keep your head down. Do your job. Don't give them reasons. But he broke those rules. He responded to someone's pain. And now he's paying the price. At the mansion, Alara is locked in her room. Not by force. By fear. Victor returns from his office earlier than usual. His footsteps echo through the house. Heavy. Deliberate. She hears him speaking to Marcus in the study. Can't make out words. Just tone. Anger. Disgust. Betrayal. She knows what's coming. Knows there's no explanation he'll accept. Knows her life is about to become smaller than it already is. Victor enters the bedroom without knocking. Stands in the doorway staring at her. She's sitting on the bed, hands folded. Waiting. He doesn't yell. That's not his style. He speaks quietly. Controlled. Dangerous. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? Did you think you could humiliate me in my own house? She tries to explain. Nothing happened. He was helping me. I was scared and alone. Victor laughs. A cold, hollow sound. Scared of what? Of living in luxury? Of having everything? She goes silent. Because there's no answer he'll accept. No truth he wants to hear. He tells her how this will go. She will not leave the house without his permission. She will not contact her family. She will not speak to staff unnecessarily. She will not embarrass him again. If she does, there will be consequences. Legal consequences. Financial consequences. He has lawyers who can make her disappear from his life without a trace. She will be nothing. Have nothing. Be no one. Alara nods. Agrees. Submits. Because what choice does she have? She signed a prenuptial agreement that favors him completely. She has no independent income. No career to return to. No home outside of his. She traded her freedom for security. And now security has become captivity. Days pass. Caleb searches for work. Other driving positions. Anything. But word spreads fast in this industry. He's been terminated from a high-profile job. No reference. No explanation. Employers don't ask questions. They just move to the next applicant. He applies to 40 jobs in 2 weeks. Receives 3 responses. All rejections. His savings dwindle. Rent is due in a week. His mother calls from South Carolina. Asks how he's doing. He lies. Says everything's fine. Can't bear to tell her the truth. At night, he sits in his apartment replaying that evening. Trying to pinpoint the exact moment everything went wrong. Was it answering her call? Was it entering the house? Was it staying after she fell asleep? Or was it simpler than that? Was it caring about someone he had no right to care about? Was it seeing her humanity when he was paid to see nothing? His mother's words haunt him. Do right even when it costs you. Well, it's costing him everything. His job. His reputation. His future. But he can't bring himself to regret it. Because that night, for a few hours, Alara wasn't alone. She was seen. She was heard. And sometimes that matters more than consequences. Marcus Linden visits Victor's office frequently now. More than usual. He brings updates, suggestions, ideas for damage control. He advises Victor to make an example of this situation. Show people that no one crosses the Halstead family. Leak information to select media contacts. Frame it carefully. Protect Victor's image. Destroy Caleb's credibility. And make sure Alara understands her place. Victor listens. Considers. But something bothers him. Not guilt. Not conscience. Practicality. If this goes public, it affects him too. His marriage becomes scrutinized. His control appears weak. His privacy is invaded. So he opts for a quieter approach. Bury the driver professionally. Isolate his wife completely. Move forward as if nothing happened. That's power. Not destruction. Control. But Marcus pushes for more. He's always pushed for more. That's what Victor values about him. Ruthlessness. Efficiency. Results. Marcus has built his own fortune advising men like Victor. He knows how to manage problems. How to eliminate threats. How to ensure that people who step out of line never step again. And he sees this situation as an opportunity. An opportunity to solidify his influence. To prove his loyalty. To secure his place in Victor's inner circle. So Marcus keeps digging. Keeps investigating. Keeps building a case that doesn't need to exist. Because power isn't just about winning. It's about making sure no one else can. What would you do if your entire life collapsed because you tried to help someone? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story is hitting you as hard as it hit me, hit that like button so we know to bring you more stories like this. That's when Caleb does the unthinkable. He doesn't disappear quietly. Doesn't accept his fate. Doesn't let lies become the final word. Because somewhere between unemployment and eviction notices, between sleepless nights and unanswered prayers, something shifts inside him. Not revenge. Conviction. The kind his mother raised him with. The kind that says silence in the face of evil is its own kind of evil. He goes public. Not recklessly. Not emotionally. Methodically. 7 years of driving provide something powerful men forget. Proximity. Evidence. Caleb has records. Flight logs that don't match Victor's official schedule. Emails accidentally left open on tablets in the back seat. Conversations overheard during airport runs. Names. Dates. Patterns. Affairs that span years. Lies that built an empire. Exploitation disguised as business. He starts small. Contacts a journalist he once drove. A woman who writes investigative pieces for a reputable outlet. He doesn't ask for payment. Doesn't demand protection. Just asks for truth. She's skeptical at first. Drivers make unreliable sources. Disgruntled employees exaggerate. But then Caleb shows her the evidence. Documents. Recordings. Timestamps. Details no one could fabricate. Her skepticism transforms into disbelief. Then into determination. The article drops on a Tuesday morning. Not sensational. Not tabloid trash. Careful journalism. Verified facts. Multiple sources. Victor Halstead's carefully constructed image begins to crack. The piece doesn't accuse him of illegal activity. Doesn't need to. It exposes hypocrisy. A man who preaches family values while maintaining 3 separate affairs. A billionaire who champions women's causes while silencing his own wife. A philanthropist whose charity work masks personal cruelty. The fallout is immediate. Board members distance themselves. Partners request emergency meetings. Investors pull funding from projects. Victor's phone rings constantly. His lawyers scramble. His PR team works overtime. But the story has momentum now. Other outlets pick it up. Former employees come forward. Women he wronged find courage to speak. The perfect empire crumbles one truth at a time. Marcus Linden panics. This wasn't supposed to happen. The driver was supposed to disappear. The story was supposed to die. Instead, it's metastasizing. Spreading. Consuming everything. He calls emergency meetings. Suggests aggressive tactics. Sue for defamation. Discredit sources. Bury the narrative with counter-narratives. But Victor hesitates. Because fighting makes it bigger. Denying makes it true. And silence, for once, might be the only option. At the mansion, Hilara watches news coverage from her room. She sees Victor's face on screens. Hears analysts discuss his fall. Reads comments from people celebrating his exposure. And something happens inside her. Not joy. Not satisfaction. Release. Like a pressure valve finally opened. She's not responsible for this. Didn't cause it. Didn't ask for it. But she benefits from it. Because in Victor's distraction, her cage door unlocks. She calls her mother. First time in 6 months. Her voice shakes. Mom, I need help. I need to come home. Her mother doesn't ask questions. Doesn't say I told you so. Just says come now. Tonight. I'll be waiting. Hilara packs a single bag. Doesn't take jewelry. Doesn't take designer clothes. Takes photos. Letters. Her Bible. Things that matter. Things that belonged to her before she belonged to someone else. She leaves the mansion while Victor is at his lawyer's office. No dramatic goodbye. No confrontation. Just walks out the front door. Gets into a taxi. Gives the driver an address in Philadelphia. As the car pulls away, she looks back once. The mansion looks smaller from a distance. Less impressive. Just a building. Just walls. Not a home. Never a home. Caleb watches the news from his apartment. He's not celebrated. No one knows his name. The journalist protected his identity per his request. He doesn't want fame. Doesn't want recognition. Just wanted truth. But the consequences are real. He's unemployable now. The industry blacklisted him completely. Whispers spread faster than facts. He's the driver who betrayed his employer. The help who bit the hand that fed him. No one cares about context. No one asks why. His mother calls that evening. She saw the news. Recognized the story. Put pieces together. Son, she says, her voice thick with emotion. You did the right thing. It's going to cost you. But you did right. And God sees that. Even when people don't. Caleb breaks down. Not from regret. From relief. Because doing right feels lonely until someone confirms you're not crazy for trying. Victor's world continues collapsing. Shareholders demand his resignation. Projects stall. His name, once golden, becomes toxic. Political allies stop returning calls. Donors withdraw support. Everything he built, everything he controlled, slips through his fingers. And Marcus, his most loyal friend, distances himself. Sends texts instead of visiting. Offers excuses instead of support. Because loyalty lasts only as long as power does. Patricia Halstead, Victor's mother, calls. She's furious. Not at the accusations. At the exposure. At the embarrassment. She blames Alara. Always Alara. That woman brought chaos into this family. That woman never belonged. That woman destroyed my son. She demands to know where Alara is. Demands Victor bring her back. Demands control be re-established. But Victor can't. Because Alara is gone. And for the first time in his life he can't buy her back. Alara arrives in Philadelphia after midnight. Her mother waits on the porch. They embrace without words. Inside, the house smells like home. Like her childhood. Like freedom. Her father makes tea. They sit in the kitchen. She tells them everything. They listen. They cry with her. They don't judge. Just love. The kind of love that doesn't demand perfection. The kind that says you're safe now. You're home. The next Sunday, Alara attends her childhood church. Same building. Same pews. Different woman. The congregation welcomes her back. Not with questions. With open arms. The pastor prays over her. Asks God to restore what was stolen. To heal what was broken. To remind her that she's beloved. Not because of who she married. But because of who she is. And for the first time in 7 years, Alara feels seen by God. Not judged. Not abandoned. Caleb finds work 3 months later. Not as a driver. As a mechanic at a small shop in Queens. The owner is an older black man who doesn't care about industry gossip. Just asks if Caleb knows cars. Caleb does. His father taught him. The pay is less. The hours are longer. But it's honest work. And honest work heals something that wealth never could. He rebuilds engines. Fixes transmissions. Helps customers who can't afford expensive repairs. And slowly, purpose returns. His church community supports him through the transition. Brings meals when money is tight. Offers prayers when discouragement hits. Reminds him that God uses broken things. That David was a shepherd before he was a king. That Moses was a murderer before he was a deliverer. That Paul was a persecutor before he was an apostle. That Caleb's story isn't finished. It's just being rewritten. Alara starts therapy. Real therapy. Not the kind Victor allowed. The kind that asks hard questions. That doesn't rush healing. That acknowledges trauma without minimizing it. She processes years of emotional abuse. Learns words for what she experienced. Gaslighting. Isolation. Control. Coercion. She learns that leaving doesn't mean she failed. That survival is success. That starting over takes more courage than staying ever did. She also starts volunteering at a women's shelter in Philadelphia. Helps survivors of domestic abuse. Not with advice. With presence. She listens to their stories. Recognizes her own. Offers the kind of solidarity that only comes from shared experience. And in helping them, she helps herself. Because healing isn't linear. It's communal. It happens when we stop hiding and start connecting. Victor's empire doesn't fully collapse. But it shrinks. He settles multiple lawsuits quietly. Loses key contracts. Steps back from public life. His name still carries weight, but less of it. And his relationships crumble. Marcus stops calling altogether. Patricia blames him for embarrassing the family. Associates keep polite distance. And loneliness, the kind he inflicted on Alara, finds him. He considers reaching out to her, considers apologizing. But pride prevents it, because apologizing means admitting fault, admitting he was wrong, admitting he hurt her. And Victor Halstead doesn't admit weakness. So he sits in his mansion alone, surrounded by expensive things, accompanied by no one, a king in an empty castle. Marcus Linden faces his own reckoning. Turns out, when you build your career on managing other people's scandals, your own eventually surface. Former clients come forward, expose his tactics, reveal how he silenced women, manipulated narratives, destroyed reputations. He loses clients, loses credibility, and discovers that loyalty bought with fear evaporates quickly. 1 year passes. Elara files for divorce. Victor doesn't contest it. His lawyers advise against a public battle, against more exposure. The settlement is fair. She doesn't ask for much, just freedom, just her name back, just the right to exist without permission. When the papers are finalized, she stands outside the courthouse in Philadelphia, takes a deep breath, and realizes she's not afraid anymore. She reconnects with her family fully, attends dinners, celebrates holidays, rebuilds relationships she once abandoned. Her father tells her he's proud, not of what she endured, of what she chose, to leave, to heal, to help others. Her mother holds her hand during hard days, reminds her that storms pass, that God is faithful, that joy comes in the morning. Caleb receives a letter one afternoon. No return address, just a Philadelphia postmark. Inside is a handwritten note, short, simple. It says, "Thank you for seeing me when no one else did. Thank you for choosing truth over safety. Thank you for reminding me that good men still exist. You saved my life without knowing it. I hope you find peace." The signature is just an initial. He reads it twice, feels tears forming. Not sadness, gratitude, because sometimes doing right feels thankless. Sometimes sacrifice feels invisible. But this letter confirms he wasn't wrong. His choice mattered. His courage counted. His mother was right. Do right even when it costs you. Because the cost is temporary. The impact is eternal. His pastor visits him at the shop one Saturday. Brings lunch. They eat together surrounded by car parts and grease. The pastor asks how he's doing. Really doing. Caleb admits it's hard. Admits some days feel like punishment. Admits he wonders if he made the right choice. The pastor listens. Then reminds him that Jesus lost everything too. His reputation. His freedom. His life. But he gained eternity. Not all losses are final. Some are just preparation. Elara starts writing. Not for publication. For herself. About her journey. About losing herself. About finding herself. About what it means to be free. The words pour out like confession. Like prayer. Like testimony. Her therapist encourages her to continue. Says writing is healing. Says her story could help others. But Elara isn't ready for that yet. Right now, writing is just for her. Just to remember. Just to process. 2 years after everything, Caleb is promoted to shop manager. The owner is retiring. Wants someone trustworthy to take over. Someone who cares about people, not just profit. Someone who understands that fixing cars is also about fixing trust. Caleb accepts. Not because he's ambitious. Because he's needed. And being needed in the right way is a gift. Elara goes back to school. Gets a degree in social work. Decides to turn her pain into purpose. She wants to help women trapped in situations like hers. Wants to advocate for those without voices. Wants to be the support she never had. Her professors are impressed. Her classmates respect her. And she discovers that being a student in your 30s is humbling. But humility rebuilds what pride destroyed. She also starts attending a new church. Larger than her childhood congregation. More diverse. More contemporary. But the message is the same. God loves you. God sees you. God hasn't forgotten you. She joins a small group for women. They study scripture together. Pray together. Share struggles together. And community, real community, feels like coming home after years of exile. Victor remarries 3 years later. A younger woman. Someone more compliant. Someone who doesn't ask questions. Someone who looks good in photos. The wedding is small. Private. No media coverage. His mother approves. Marcus doesn't attend. The marriage feels empty from the start. But Victor doesn't know what else to do. He's only ever known transactions. Never connection. Caleb's mother visits him in New York. First time in years. She's older now. Slower. But her spirit is unchanged. She tells him she's proud. Tells him his father would be proud too. tells him that doing right never wastes itself. That seeds planted in faithfulness grow harvests we don't always see. They attend church together that Sunday, sing hymns together, pray together, and Caleb realizes something. He lost a job, but he kept his soul. Elara graduates with her social work degree. Her mother attends the ceremony. Her father cries. They take photos, celebrate with dinner. And that night, Elara writes in her journal, "Today I reclaimed my life." If you're interested in what Elara wrote in her journal, comment part 2. Because she revealed another sincere truth about her journey she had never shared. And turn on notifications so you won't miss it. If this story moved you, hit that like button. Let us know we're not alone in believing that truth still matters. That integrity still counts. That doing right even when it costs everything is still worth it. Subscribe to this channel because we're committed to telling stories that matter. And remember this, you are not invisible. You are seen. By God. By someone. Maybe by a stranger whose name you'll never know but whose choice will change everything. So if you're the one crying in silence, speak. If you're the one with power, use it justly. If you're the one watching, don't look away. Because every story worth telling starts with someone who refused to let another person suffer alone. Turn on notifications. And we'll see you in the next one. Until then, remember, your life matters. Your choices count. And doing right even when it costs you everything is never wrong. God sees. And sometimes that's all the reward you need.